Today, India stands as the world's fifth largest economy, successfully touching down a rover on the moon's south pole. Yet, exactly 75 years ago, departing British officials looked at a financially drained, newly partitioned landscape and predicted the entire nation would soon collapse under its own weight. When ancient titans like Rome, Egypt, and Mesopotamia fell to outside conquerors, their original languages, religions, and cultures were permanently erased. So, how did the continuous thread of Indian civilization survive over 1,000 years of the most intense invasions, lootings, and colonizations in human history? To understand the survival, we have to rewind 9,000 years. In early settlements like Mehrgarh and the Indus Valley, engineers were already building cities on complex grid systems and using fine stone drills to practice early dentistry. By the time it became known as the Golden Bird, the subcontinent had produced Aryabhata's foundational mathematics and built Nalanda, an early university housing tens of thousands of students from across Asia. But this immense, peaceful prosperity created a fatal vulnerability. It made India the absolute richest prize on earth, inviting massive waves of conquerors intent on claiming that wealth. The borders were breached through a mix of devastating internal betrayals by rival local rulers and an extreme idealism where victorious Indian kings pardoned and released defeated foreign enemies. Once inside, the invaders targeted the culture itself. In 1193, Bakhtiyar Khilji set fire to Nalanda's Grand Library. It took 3 months for the estimated 9 million books and centuries of collective scientific knowledge to burn to ash. This was followed by spiritual and physical plundering. Mahmud of Ghazni repeatedly attacked the Somnath temple, destroying sacred idols and stripping the walls of their diamonds and gold to fund his empire. Centuries later, the British East India Company targeted the economy. To eliminate competition for British textiles, company officials systemically cut off the thumbs of highly skilled Indian weavers. Successive empires moved beyond simple taxation, seeking to entirely overwrite and erase the Indian identity. But the civilization had a biological-like defense mechanism. Whenever a centralized kingdom collapsed, it triggered a massive, decentralized grassroots response. While the north burned under early Islamic invasions, the Vijayanagara Empire rapidly organized in the south to shelter scholars and fiercely defend the local culture. When the Mughal Empire reached its absolute peak, a teenager named Shivaji mobilized common farmers in the rugged mountains of Maharashtra, bleeding the massive imperial army dry through pioneer guerrilla warfare. Against the British, this response took the form of a mass civilian uprising. Millions of ordinary citizens, led by Mahatma Gandhi, weaponized nonviolence to paralyze the colonial administration. Simultaneously, an aggressive military front emerged when Subhash Chandra Bose traveled overseas to build an independent, armed Indian force to strike back from the borders. An empire can execute a king and conquer a capital, but it cannot kill a civilization if the resistance lives in the minds of its farmers, weavers, and ordinary citizens. The final, agonizing trial came during the 1947 partition. A foreign bureaucrat with no knowledge of the local geography drew a line on a map, overnight severing thousands of years of shared history. The resulting geographical surgery displaced millions of people. It sparked widespread massacres and created one of the most desperate and chaotic refugee crises the modern world had ever seen. Yet, despite the ultimate physical trauma and the fracturing of the land itself, the core soul of the civilization survived. On August 15, 1947, the British left a financially drained landscape. The crowd celebrating freedom inherited a nation that lacked the heavy industry to manufacture a simple sewing needle. This vulnerability triggered an immediate political immune response. Through iron-willed geopolitical maneuvering, Sardar Patel negotiated with 562 independent, volatile princely states, stitching them tightly into one unified republic. The stabilization was grueling. Scientists hauled the first rocket components on the back of bicycles. But by 1971, a decisive military victory against Pakistan redrew the map of South Asia. India asserted total sovereignty by testing nuclear weapons in the Rajasthan desert, proving to the world it would no longer be bullied or dictated to by foreign powers. Today, a newly empowered youth class is driving an ongoing digital and economic revolution, turning the country into a global technology hub. India's 9,000-year journey offers the world's ultimate masterclass in resilience, the relentless, unbroken capacity to rise from the ashes and rebuild.